And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Indiana Pacers episode. Yes, we are doing Ray's favorite team.
Woo!
I don't know if that'll make me take his opinion more seriously, but it is his favorite team nonetheless. And as you can tell, I am back this week. Good for everybody, I think.
It's nice to have the Dark Lord back.
Yes. But sadly, Wade is not here. Wade had something come up tonight, so he couldn't make it. Get back next week, Wade. But we're going to move on and try and get this Pacers episode going. So, Drew, who is your Indiana Pacers point guard?
My point guard for the Pacers is Paul George.
Paul George. He did not make my team.
And Wade has Paul George at small forward.
I do not have Paul George.
I heavily considered putting him at small forward. I did not consider putting him at point guard.
I have Paul George as well.
Where do you have him at?
I'll show you.
Two at point guard.
That surprised me,
Yeah, Ray, I'm shocked.
Why?
Yeah, me and Dad thought
Mark Jackson.
We thought
Mark Jackson.
Hey, Mark Jackson is 10 best point guard, but he is not the best on this team.
Okay.
I'll just let y'all know that.
So
I was surprised. I thought I'd be the only one with Paul George at point guard.
Oh, no.
all right, Ray. Now that I got you behind me, I feel even more confident. In myself.
do you want to give us Paul George stuff, Drew?
I mean, in Indiana, obviously, his points weren't as high because his first couple of years, and he was hurt this season. He only averaged 18, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, almost 2 steals, and then half a block. But I feel like with, kind of the team, I feel like Paul George, I mean, as we've seen later on in his career, he's been able to pass the ball a little bit better, and I think he could. I mean, even in those Pacer years, with those battles he had with the Heat and all that, he carried the team, I think, a little bit. I mean, I'm trying to think who was the point guard for those teams.
George Hill.
George Hill. Yeah. Oh, well, I think Paul George could run the point, I think, for the team.
Drive, kick.
Yeah.
Shoot. Get Reggie off
And
the
even
screen.
if we do just like we do before, just his years with the Pacers, I mean, scoring 18 at a point guard, some of the places we have, the point guard doesn't do that much. So him being able to score that much, I think, is a plus as well. So, and he played defense back then before leaving Indiana.
Lockdown defense. Lockdown.
So, yeah, I like my pick with Paul George at point guard.
So, I have something to bring up here real quick. So, Ray.
Yeah.
You remember all the way back to the Atlanta Hawks episode?
No, I have short-term memory.
Oh, is that right?
Ashtray, remember him?
Yeah, ashtray.
You got mad. you got mad at me and Robert.
No, this is not a shot at. This is not a shot at you, Ray. Don't be scared.
Oh, I'm not scared.
I'm coming after Drew.
I forgot. I did.
Do you remember who your and I's point guard was for the Hawks?
For the Hawks?
Yeah.
I thought I put Trae Young.
No, I'm asking Ray.
Oh, well, you said Drew. You said Drew. Do you remember who mine and your point guard was?
Oh, Ray. Do you remember who your and I's point guard was?
Oh, no, I can't, actually. Who did we put?
Lou Hudson.
Oh, yeah.
And Drew told us he didn't average enough assists to be a point guard.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that shit now.
So now I'm returning the favor and saying your point guard doesn't average enough assists to play point guard.
First episode of the series, Alex. We're figuring stuff out. It's like, you gotta let me figure out. We're better at making teams now.
Yeah. But
Alex, you trying to tell me you'd rather have Mark Jackson on this team than Paul
I don't
George?
want Mark Jackson as my point guard.
oh my God, who could it be then?
And my point guard averages more assists a game for the Pacers than Paul George and Mark Jackson together, probably.
Oh.
I think I know who yours is. It might be Wade. Yeah, I remember. Okay, I know who it is now. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
But anyway, anybody else have anything to add on Paul George?
He's probably the second Pacer, I think, of behind Reggie Miller.
I mean,
Really?
Well, I mean, that's who I like when I first really. Well, not really first, really, but one of the Pacers I think of was those Pacer teams with him, Roy Hibbert, David West, George Hill, Lance Stevenson. I mean, that Pacer team. I think of him.
I mean, there's really there's three great eras of Pacer basketball. There's the '90s years of Reggie and the Knicks. There's the Artez, Jermaine O'Neal years there.
Yep.
as short as they were, and then you have Paul George and Hibbert, like Drew was just saying, and those are like the statement years of the Pacers.
You're right, but you left out their actual biggest heyday,
What's that?
the ABA.
The ABA.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean,
They were winning championships during those years.
that's true.
Not just being second-round fodder.
Right. Believe me, I know all of it. I feel it every time. Just like this year, there's shit down the toilet.
All right, we can move on here. Uncle Doug, who's your point guard?
Well, I really struggled at point guard because I didn't think there was really a good choice.
It's the weakest position by
Yeah.
far.
I didn't think about Paul George. I might have done that. And I went back and forth between Mark Jackson and George Hill. And I finally decided on George. I
George
thought Ray
Hill.
would have Mark and we'd have to discuss it, but
Did you look at Jamal Tinsley?
I looked at him. I would look at T.J. Ford. I looked at Travis Best. I looked at Jalen Rose. Nothing really stuck up
yeah.
except for, Paul George is really the most balanced player that you can even put at that position. With the team that I've got compromised or put together here, but really, like Doug was saying, it's the weakest position.
Yeah, this
It
is.
was tough for me. It really was. Other positions I was overloaded, but this one was like,
So what do you got to say about old George Hill there, Uncle Doug?
He only averaged 12, which was 4 more than Mark Jackson. 4 rebounds, 4 assists. I just remember him playing well and kind of, being that guy that facilitated, helped the team, played defense.
Yeah, he was a very good defender.
And so that's why I went with him.
Okay.
All right. Did we? I was trying to Wade. Yeah, I was trying to count. We don't have 5, and I'm the only one left, but we don't have Wade on there.
Yeah, who was Wade's point guard?
I'm gonna say
Oh,
Alex.
okay.
I
You're gonna let Alex
yeah.
know. Gotcha.
Yeah, so now I guess we're around to me. We don't usually get all the way around to me without my player being named.
Especially the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, we get to like, hey Alex, who's your power forward?
Yeah,
We're-
exactly. All right, well, my point guard is Tyrese Halliburton.
That is Wade's.
And he averages 19 points, 10 assists, or 4 rebounds, 10 assists, and a steal, while shooting 40% from 3 and 49% from the field as an Indiana Pacer.
Okay.
Where we played 2 years? in
2 years
Indiana?
there, yep.
Very valid pick. Don't blame me for picking him. He is a very good player. But 2 years.
I know, it's so short.
It is.
Short
Like,
sample
we don't
size.
even have any time to get mad at the franchise and leave.
Right.
That's what the NBA is at this point. Is he going to live here in a couple of years?
Yeah.
Probably, but,
Is he going to get hurt and get traded and then just be worthless for somebody else's team? Heat.
But speaking of small, he is not. He's a 6'5" point guard, so he's a taller point guard. Can guard. He, especially when he was in Sacramento, he spent a lot of time guarding wings because they also had Fox who couldn't do that. So Halliburton is a versatile defender, solid defender, shoots well, great passer, solid scorer. So I thought he was a worthy pick at a team that I found weird that has been around forever and doesn't have a great point guard.
Yeah, I know.
It was weird. All right. Well, I think that's all I have on old Tyrese Halliburton. He was an all-star this year while
Yes,
he
he
was
was.
while he was
Mhm.
in Indiana.
Yeah.
And I think we said this in the Charlotte episode, but he's also cousins with Eddie Jones.
Oh,
I think we
yeah.
did. Yeah, I think we did
Yeah.
say that.
All right. So I guess Ray, you're the only one that hasn't named one. So who's your shooting guard?
My shooting guard is Reggie Miller.
He's also
Mine,
mine.
too.
Who's mine and Wade's?
All right. So that's a unanimous pick. Reggie Miller will be our shooting guard. Ray, you got anything you want to tell us about old Reggie?
Face of the franchise for at least his whole career. The 90s were the pinnacle of his the peak of his career. Die-hard knockout dragouts against the Knicks. He came in clutch numerous times in the playoffs. They've got to, I don't know how many Eastern Conference final appearances, always in the playoffs, behind him and his shooting and whatever he could contribute to the team. And my favorite player. So, Reggie and Pacers were synonymous for 18 years. So, I could not put Reggie on this list if I.
Oh yeah.
Really.
I mean, to me, when I think Pacers, he's the very first person I think of.
Yes.
He
I
was the
loved
face of the
Reggie
franchise.
before he was even in Indiana. I liked watching him play in college, and he's a great shooter.
Oh yeah.
Reggie played like his entire career before Drew, and Drew said, when I think of the Pacers, Reggie's the first guy that comes to mind.
Yeah.
So, I think that says pretty much everything right there. Reggie is definitely the face of the Pacers franchise.
Yeah.
Not just during his career, but just he is the face of their franchise.
Right.
He's in the Hall of Famer. He played his whole career there. 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. So,
It's like Ray said, he was one of their heydays.
Yeah.
I know they won championships back in the ABA, but that might have been the Pacers' heyday. It was Reggie Miller.
well, he was technically part of the Jermaine O'Neal teams, too. He wasn't the star he used to
Yeah.
be, but he was still on that team.
Yeah. He was
Well,
just getting injured more.
Yeah.
The whole Spike Lee Knicks thing is just iconic.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, I was watching it this morning actually just to get ready, I guess. But yeah, that shit was great. Great times, great shit talking, great competitiveness. Nothing you can do anymore, but it was a good time.
Yeah, I'm guessing old Spike hasn't said anything to Donovan Mitchell since he's clunking it up.
Yeah, I think he's probably learned his lesson.
I hope Spike had learned his lesson by now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a unanimous Reggie. And we already have one Paul George at small forward. That was Wade, correct?
Yeah.
yep.
So, Drew, who is your small forward?
Chuck Persons.
Also my small forward.
He did not make my team.
So Chuck Person for 2.
In Indiana, old Chuck, he averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, steal, and 0.2 blocks. Yeah. I don't know. Since I put Paul George at point guard, I kind of just looked at the next person. For small forward, I said, okay, at 19 and 6, I thought.
Yeah, Chuck was a good shooter. And they called him the rifleman. He went on to become a shooting coach for some other team. Shooting coach for the Lakers for a while. And
Good solid pick for small forward.
Yeah. He's a big guy, too.
Yeah, he could
Yeah.
body.
Muscular guy.
muscular, yeah.
Yeah.
Decent defender.
He wasn't going to get pushed around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you got anything else to add on Chuck Person, either one of you?
Nope.
All right. Well, Ray, who's your small forward?
Let Shrimp.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I considered him.
I'm a big fan. I just don't really think of him as a Pacer, to be honest with you.
That's where his prime years were. Was in Indiana.
Was it?
Yeah. He started off in Dallas, and then he went peak in Indiana, and then he had some good years in Seattle, and then it was
Seattle's
just
the only place I think of him, really.
I always think of him in Seattle. I remember him playing in Indiana, but I always think of him in Seattle.
Detlet had 17 points, 4 assists, 8.6 rebounds, 1 steal, and 0.3 blocks a game for the 5 seasons he was in Indiana. So, and he's a great defender, good shooter. He can stretch the floor. He could body anybody up at the small forward position. Just a balanced guy. He's 6'10", which you could probably throw him at power forward, but I think he'd be more deadly at the small forward position.
I agree.
Yeah, I really don't see him as a power forward.
Mm-mm. I guess here's my question, though. Why couldn't he shoot in Indiana?
What do you mean?
He's a really great shooter his whole career, except for the 5 seasons he's in Indiana where he's a 29% three-point shooter.
Ooh.
29%?
Yeah, and then
I
in
didn't realize
Seattle he
that.
shoots 41%, and Dallas he shoots 35%, and in Portland he shoots 40%.
I
What
don't know. That's a
what-
good
Ah.
question.
What the
I
heck?
didn't realize that.
Huh.
Do they move the line back in Indianapolis or what? Like
I don't know. That's a good question.
He was intimidated by Reggie.
Oh,
That might
okay.
be.
Yeah.
Might have to defer. But I mean, he was part of them Knicks years too. Knockout grindouts.
Well, I didn't have Detlef on my team either.
Well, I didn't either.
Oh Lord, who could Alex have?
Well, I mean, I have a Hall of Famer at small forward.
Oh God, who
I
was
don't think the rest of y'all can say that. So, my small forward is George McGinnis.
Oh, now see,
it? Yeah,
I have George
I
McGinnis
thought
at
about
power
that.
forward.
Yeah, he's my power forward.
and he's the only one with the title too.
Yeah,
He's Wade's power forward.
yeah.
Power forward.
But George McGinnis, he played 7 seasons in Indiana, where he averaged 19 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal, shooting 46% from the field. Not much of a free throw shooter at 65.
So how many of us had him at power?
Me, you, Wade.
Okay, so 3 of us.
So 3 at power forward. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So did you leave him off your team completely, Ray?
Yeah, he's not on my team.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
I have a different setup here.
He's a Hall of Famer, 6-time All-Star. He won 2 championships with Indy. That's
Yeah.
the big thing there. 2-time All-NBA, 3-time All-ABA. I don't think the NBA ones came with Indianapolis, though. I think they came with the Sixers.
Yeah.
He also won an MVP.
Okay.
So, I mean, I just thought it was...
George was a
I just thought
serious
it
power forward.
very blasphemous not to have McGinnis on here since he did all that. But now the Pacers fan is telling me he's on his team, so now I'm in a little bit of wonderment here. But that's the reason Paul George didn't make my team is because of this guy.
Right.
Okay.
Again, another guy that we talked about Persons and how muscular he was. This is another guy that was pretty bulky.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, his nickname was Baby Bull.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I didn't see him play as much with Indiana, but I remember him playing, I believe it was with the 76ers.
yeah, he was there with Doc for a while.
Yeah. And he was good.
He and Doc couldn't get along, though, because they couldn't share the ball.
Right.
So, yep, that's my small forward. So that's all of our small forwards, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So now we move on to power forward, which 3 of us already have McGinnis, which was Wade, Doug, and Drew. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yeah.
So, Ray, who is your power forward?
Jermaine O'Neal.
He is also mine.
Okay.
He's Wade's center.
So 2 here, 1 here.
Jermaine O'Neal was such a force. It just didn't last that long.
Yeah. All right, 3 for O'Neal. You guys didn't have O'Neal?
I thought about it. Yeah, but I just put.
This is where I struggled. Was with McGinnis, O'Neal, and the guy I put at center.
Okay. Let's see. Jermaine O'Neal, 18.6, 2 assists, 9.6 rebounds, 0.7 steals, and 2.4 blocks for his 8 seasons in Indiana.
He was a great defender and such a sweet shot blocker. Even after his injuries and him getting old after he was out of Indiana, he stayed a really good shot blocker.
Mm-hmm.
He was such a force on that end of the floor. And then when he was in Indiana, he could actually score because that was pre all the injuries.
He could stretch out to 17 foot, knock him down at the elbow.
Yeah, sweet little lefty jump shot.
Yeah.
He
And a
would-
little mini hook, too, he had. That was nice.
Yeah. And he played 8 seasons in Indiana, so it's not like it's just a couple, like some people we've talked about. He was a nice player there for Indiana. And he was the best player on that, one of the runs you were talking about there,
Talking
right?
about the Artest.
Yeah,
team.
the Artest, O'Neal,
Yeah.
Steven Jackson, Reggie Miller stuff. He was the best player
Yeah.
on that team.
That team was set up. It was going to be a nice battle at the Eastern Conference, but then the Malice in the Palace happened, and then it just fucked everything up.
Malice in the Palace.
Y'all, you guys all watched that documentary?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just watched it in sports management class.
Oh,
Pretty
really?
cool. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, it was. They were so. Their win. I can't remember what it was after watching the thing a while back, but they had only lost a handful of games that season when that happened. They were.
They
were really
And
good.
the thing is, that game was out of hand.
Yeah.
It wasn't even
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, they were blowing the Pistons
It was
out.
just dumb,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing. Which, I'm not saying Ron Artest was in the right to go up and start fighting people, but, you wouldn't be happy if someone throws a beer on you.
Hell no.
No, not only that, but it hit him in the face. Like the whole cup.
Yeah.
Just boom, hit him in the face. My thing is, as a fan, what good was going to come of you doing that?
Really nothing. You're
Right.
getting in trouble, and then look what happened to the Pacers season.
Yeah.
I guess as a Detroit fan, you don't care.
You don't care about the Pacers season, but at the very least, you're getting arrested.
Yeah, Yeah.
The luckiest part is you're lucky that Ron Artest thought it was the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. He beats up the wrong guy.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
They even
But-
talk about that in a documentary. And 14 years later, the dude that didn't get beat up and threw the beer at the dude got paid to do an interview on the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he got out of it. Dirty bastard.
Yeah. I don't give fans like that. I'm no softy like some of these NBA players now. Get kicked out of the game for being mean to me or whatever. But you can't be throwing things at the players. You can't be spitting on the players. You can't. You can't be. Threatening to kill people.
Exactly.
Come on, guys.
There's a line there.
There is a line. Yeah.
If you're heckling and yelling at me like brick or something, even though
anything to do with basketball is on limits as far as I'm concerned. Anything to do with basketball. You can tell me I'm a fucking terrible basketball player. You suck. Yeah, you play like a girl. Anything that has to do with basketball is fair game as far as I'm concerned.
when you start making it personal,
Even personal stuff, to an extent, I feel like,
it depends on what it is. If you start bringing my family and stuff.
Yeah,
into it.
family is a weird thing. I don't know if you should necessarily be kicked out for talking about family, but at the same time, I think morally you're what are we doing here? Why are you talking about my wife? Why are you talking about my mom? Why are you talking about stuff like that? But as far as oh, you're a bitch or something like that. Again, who cares?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't bother me.
I can't play in the NBA because people hurt my feelings by yelling at me from the stand.
Yeah.
Here's my thing: when I always played, and I never played in front of 60,000 people, but I've played in front of decent crowds before. I didn't hear what the individual people were saying.
No.
Now you just hear big, chants and stuff.
Yeah, you hear big noises,
Right.
Things like that. But I never was picking out individual people's words.
If anyone ever called me anything, it was probably someone on the floor. I've had players call me.
Oh, players call you names all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
the-
commonplace.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Players call you stuff all the time.
Well, not only that, but we see it in the NBA. They call each other much, much worse things.
yeah.
They call the refs worse things than they want
Right,
people kicked
yeah.
out for.
Mm-hmm.
Westbrook, he calls people names all the time, but then he wants to be nobody can call me anything outside my name. Well, then quit running around the court doing it. Or Draymond. Draymond cusses out and calls the refs bitches all the time, and he's whining about fans being mean. I'm just come on, give me a break. But anyway, I suppose we ought to move on to center before we get too sidetracked here. So yeah, that's all our power forwards. We have one center. Who had Jermaine out center?
Wade.
Wade did. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So Uncle Doug, who is your center?
My center is Mel Daniels.
He is also mine.
He's my center.
Mel averaged a little over 19 points, 16 rebounds, about 2 assists, 1.6 blocks. He's in the Hall of Fame. 2-time MVP, 3 ABA titles. He was He was pretty good in the day. He was only 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
And they say 220, but we've talked about these weights before.
It's basketball reference, guys.
And-
you know the drill.
I mean, if you really are concerned about his height, Jermaine O'Neal's 6'11",
Yeah.
so you can flip-flop him if you
Right,
really
yeah.
are concerned about it. But
But yeah, I definitely part of older, but the Pacers were so good during that time period.
yes. Well, Ray, did you just hate the greatest team to ever play the Pacers, or what? Because you won't put any of their players on your team.
No, I mean, I appreciate their accomplishments and what they've done, but
Their
They
accomplishments, Ray. They won 3 titles and won 3 MVPs,
Okay,
and
but-
you're fuck those guys.
No,
what is going on here?
no, I considered them at a certain point. I actually had Mel Daniels on a preliminary list, and then I thought to myself, how would they translate? And my final tally was not very well, so I didn't put them on my list.
Why?
Because I just feel like the way I have my team set up and the pace that they would play, they would not keep up with what I have on my list.
Okay. Well, who's your center, Ray? I bet I can guess.
Rick Smith.
I'll say Rick Smith. Yes.
Well, I feel like Mel could probably run with Rick.
Maybe.
I'll say we're not really talking about freaky athlete. Oh, well,
No, but he's big. He can
is
body.
big.
He can even step out and shoot.
I like Rick Smits, and I assumed I was going to put Rick Smits as my center when I first started this. Apparently, there's somebody else named Rick Smits because I clicked on the wrong one. Pull up
What's
the
his name?
basketball.
Duncan Dutchman version 2.
So you want to tell us anything about old Rick?
14.8 points, 1.4 assists, 6.1 rebounds, not a steal, not even a steal, and then 1.3 blocks a game. In the 12 years that he played in Indiana.
So, I guess here's my question, Ray.
Okay.
I like Rick Smits. I'm not trying to bash him. But we're going to start a center on the all-time Pacers team that averages 6 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
That's
He was the center for the Pacers for I don't know how long.
like 11 seasons. Yeah, I get that, but
Is Daniels really better than Smith?
he averages
I think
16
so.
rebounds a game. I mean, that's something.
He beats him by
Yeah, in a league
four,
that had
almost 5 points.
Yeah, but in
10
a league
rebounds.
that had like 6 teams worth of crap.
Well, we're talking about the 70s, man. We're not talking about the 50s.
Yeah.
He played ABA into NBA.
I don't
I'm not
know,
sure how
man.
long he played in the NBA.
Just a couple seasons.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he didn't last. Translation didn't work out. That's how most of them happen. They just got phased out because it didn't work out for him.
I mean, he was in his 30s. It wasn't like he was 25 and couldn't play in the NBA.
right. But can we name any other great players in the ABA besides Julius Erving
George
and
Gervin.
and Iceman?
Yeah, I'll say Rick
There was
Barry,
only-
Barry played there for a while.
Artis Gilmore.
Artis Gilmore.
There's 6 Hall of Famers for you.
Yeah.
So
George
that's-
McGinnis.
George McGinnis, yes.
I
on
like
the same
George.
team.
Yeah.
So this team won 3 championships, Ray. You're gonna try and tell us how bad these players were?
I didn't say they were bad.
It sounds like you're saying he was
No, I'm
bad.
just saying they don't translate, and they didn't fit my team. I give them all the love, but they're just
So I
not
guess
on
we'll
my
say
team.
you've brought it up a couple times. It doesn't fit your team. So can you elaborate on that? What does he need to do to fit your team better?
Okay, so defense,
Okay.
lockdown. Everybody on this team can shoot, stretch the floor. Everybody on this team, the center and the power forward can lock you down in the post. They can also draw you out. They can cut. Paul George drive and slash, dish and pop, dead left. He just all around. He just does everything. The dirty player, or well, not the he does the dirty things that nobody else wants to do. He will do all that, just like a Rodman. And that's just how I have it set up.
I got a question, Ray.
Okay.
You don't like the current NBA on how they stretch the floor and all that, so then why do you want your all-time Pacers team to stretch the floor like that?
It gives different looks. But also, I also have a center, a diehard center, who can play inside and out. I also have Jermaine O'Neal, who is pretty much a center who can play inside and out. They can come out if they need to. They can also pack the paint if they have to too. I'm not saying we're playing this Golden State rules and shit, because that's not how that's not how those two play. I'm just saying if they got to pop out and do a 17-footer like Anthony Davis, like we're watching right now, he don't want to play center, but these guys do, and they can do the same thing Anthony Davis can and body his ass up.
That's just
So
like I
I'm just
said,
saying.
that's today. That's today's NBA is what Anthony Davis is doing.
But my guys ain't 3-point shooters.
I mean,
But they can still shoot, and we don't need to shoot threes with those guys. We just body you up, pop it out, pop it in, play traditional, and have a little 3-point contest on from time to time. You know, with Reggie and George, and Shrimp. I mean, he can get locked in. There you go.
I will say, if you're going to play Smits at center, you're going to need Detlef Shrimp at power forward because you're going to need the rebounding. Or at small forward, I mean. Because you're going to need the rebounding because your center's not rebounding.
Right, and that's why 8.6, Detlef Shrimp.
All right, well. We can come back to center, I think.
Because Daniels rebounded what Smits and Shrimp did together.
Yeah.
8-6 and 6-1. That's 14-7. And Daniels did 16.
But who's he going to guard?
Well, they guard the other center.
At 6'9"? He ain't going to be guarding Smits. Let's say if Daniels is on a different team, he ain't bodying Smits.
I mean, somebody was guarding Smith.
and
He averaged
Jermaine.
14 points a game.
He ain't, well, he ain't going to be bodying Jermaine either. I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, for my team, I don't have a single guy under 6'8".
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude's got a big team.
I mean, honestly, anyone can take turns at some point.
My shortest player is 6'5". But we can come back to center. That's fine.
We've got a lot of
Yeah,
players.
we're all over
We
the place
do. We
trying
have
to
a
shoot
ton of
all
guard.
over the place.
Yeah, shooting guard's done. It's Reggie, but other than that, we have a lot of
Do we have
stuff.
anybody else that's got 5 votes? It's definitely on.
McGinnis has 4.
George has 3.
George has 3. No, Daniels had 3. So no, nobody. The closest person is McGinnis with 4.
Yeah, we got a lot of cleaning up to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot harder than what it was.
Should we go down to point guard?
Yeah, who do you want as point guard?
I will come off George Hill and go to Paul George.
Yes.
I had not thought of putting him at point guard. I struggled. I thought he ought to be on the team, but I wanted Chuck Person at small, and I couldn't put him at 2. And I couldn't put him at power forward because I had plenty of power forward centers. I didn't know what to do with him.
All right.
So I can do that. That'll clean it up a little bit.
I will say they would be a versatile team if you had Paul George. He has a lot of similar height guys with Paul George playing the point.
Yeah, and Halliburton's great. 2 years is so short.
Yeah.
I didn't really even consider him because of that, I think. And, but man, we get the small forward, we're all over the place.
Who's got George at small forward?
Wade.
Wade.
So Wade's got Halliburton at point guard, and Paul George at small forward. So I mean,
Well, obviously we can't negotiate with Wade because
Yeah.
he's not here.
That is true.
Yeah, so it'll just be the four of us on the negotiation part.
Okay.
Well, we deleted a point guard, so I guess we got closer there. Since Wade's by himself at small forward with Paul George, does Paul George go away?
Or you,
There's nobody to argue with.
I mean,
Well, since he has Paul George, do we want to put him at point guard?
or he can go right here.
Well, you can't just take him off of Halliburton, can you? He's with me.
I know, but you can't just kick off his Paul George vote. Like I don't.
Well,
I mean, we wanted to mention him in there, but again, I guess for tonight we have to go with 4 votes for at each spot because there's just 4
Yeah,
of
we
us
just do
here.
our 4 votes. We just
We
want
might
to say
use Wade to break a tie or something, but
we just want.
right, I'm just saying since he's by himself with Paul George, I'm not saying his
Right.
vote never matters, but I mean he's by himself and he can't argue his point.
yeah.
So unless one of us is going to switch to Paul George at small forward, I feel like that he's out at small forward. I'm not saying he's out at point guard,
Yeah, I
but
think you're right.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, he could go like here, in this spot right here.
I didn't see us having this many small forwards. I really thought small forward was a 2-man game for this franchise.
I mean, you also forgot Granger, but I would not put that
Oh, I
trash
didn't-
on here.
I didn't forget Granger. His injuries pulled his numbers down.
Yeah, trash, straight trash.
Why is he trash?
I just hate Granger, and I don't know why.
Why? I was gonna say, damn man, he was like your whole franchise for a couple years.
Yeah, he was okay.
He was okay.
He just, I don't know. There was that one series against the Heat. It just really burned my ass. He just kept trying to get LeBron's face, and LeBron just kept shutting him down. It's just like, bro, sit down or shut up.
Well, I mean, Granger's career was virtually over at that point.
Yeah, but still, it just makes me sick. I can take Lance Stevenson blowing in his ear because that's Lance Stevenson. But Granger, that is not you. Do not do that stuff.
Lance Stevenson was hilarious.
Indeed. Lance Stevenson, I think, is one of those guys. If he plays for your team, you kind of like him. But if he plays for the other team, you can't stand him.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just one of
Mhm.
those kind of annoying.
Like Beverly.
All right. Well, we need to get to work here, guys. We gotta figure out what the hell we're doing here.
Okay.
So what position do we want to work on?
Well, let's see here. We got O'Neal up there. Who else went O'Neal with me?
Me.
And
So
McGinnis.
Wade has O'Neal at center. So do we want to take O'Neal off at center? Since Wade's not here to defend it, and he's the only one.
We could.
Yeah.
That's what we did with his Paul George vote.
All right. Oh my gosh.
What did you do, Ray?
Oh,
I went too far. Okay, O'Neal's at. All right. So where y'all want McGinnis? Y'all really want him at power forward, or do you want to knock him down to small?
So let me ask you. So Drew and Knuckle Doug, you guys both have McGinnis and Daniels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can we
Yes.
really start 2 undersized big men down low?
McGinnis, how big was
6'8".
Really? I always thought he was about 6'10".
We got 6. Can we go 6'8", 6'9" down low?
But you're also talking
I feel like I came with
the
my
only MVPs and Hall of Famers on the team.
Well, I have both of them. I just don't have McGinnis playing the 4.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I don't remember him being that good an outside shooter. I feel like it's small, probably needs some shooting.
That let. Or I mean, we could put McGinnis there at small forward.
Mm.
Because you said he was what 6'8",
Yeah.
so you could pop him in there. That'd be 4 for McGinnis at small forward.
Who has him at small forward?
Me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not totally locked on the Detlef, and I mean, I've already foreseen my future where I'm getting voted out anyway. So, I mean, we could just put McGinnis there. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I could do that. I could go McGinnis instead of Chuck.
Okay.
All right. Somebody coming to the McGinnis train.
I'm fine with that.
All right.
Moving.
I mean, I'm on the McGinnis train. It's just a different position.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how I
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I definitely want him on the team.
I mean, Jermaine is who I would have put at power forward.
So are you coming to McGinnis too, Ray? At
Yeah.
small?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
So
that's
that
that's
puts him in
everybody.
then.
That's everybody.
So he's in
Yeah.
then.
All right, so everybody's.
And Wade's the only one that has McGinnis at power forward. So, yeah.
Okay, so we'll pop that out.
All right, so we got 2 spots cleared now. Reggie and McGinnis at small forward.
But
And O'Neal
so 2 of you guys had McGinnis at power forward, or 3 of you guys.
Yeah, Wade was the other one.
So,
So
we
did-
lost. I gave up Chuck Person. If I'm giving up Chuck, I'm going with O'Neal at power.
Yeah.
So that means we have him too.
Yeah.
So that means Jermaine
So now
O'Neal's
we
our
have to
power
decide on
forward.
center and point guard.
Good deal, good deal.
Okay, so Jermaine's the.
All right, it's looking pretty good so far.
So now we need center and point guard, where we have 2 guys apiece.
And how tall was Daniels?
6'9".
6'9". See, I can't get over that.
Well, if you got O'Neal at 6'11".
Well, not only that, but this isn't the first undersized guy we've talked about. Ben Wallace was 6'9".
I know, but he
Morning's 6'10".
I know,
Dwight
but
Howard 6'9" or 6'10".
Yeah, that's how tall Dwight Howard is.
yeah, but those guys are like super muscular and like 350 pounds.
Well, I know I'm 350 pounds, but
350 is pretty big, right? That's a left tackle in the NFL.
that's Shaq now.
Yeah.
Well, I like Alex's point. We couldn't have 2 undersized guys, but I feel like with O'Neal and Daniels, we're okay. Because, I mean, O'Neal could play the center and Daniels could be the power forward. I mean, I don't care either way, but I'm pretty comfortable with those 2. Smith's I liked, but I don't know.
His numbers underwhelmed me. I didn't think they
Yeah.
would be that bad.
Yeah, me too. Especially his rebounding.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So what are you wanting to get out of Smiths you're not getting out of Daniels, Ray?
Somebody that can actually guard the center position and give them a little bit of resistance. And I feel with somebody at 6'9", where all these legend centers are like 7'2", Daniels is not going to be able to guard anybody.
But I don't think Smith's is going to stop Kareem or
Well,
Wilt or any of those big centers.
No, I know
They're
that.
going to go right through him.
No, I got that. But, I mean, at least we've seen that she's shown resistance against Olajuwon, Ewing, somewhat resistance against Shaq in the 6-game finals. I mean, at least he's put up some
I
kinda-
watched that series. There wasn't a lot of resistance.
Well,
there was
there's-
no resistance with Shaq. I mean, if you want to say 33 and 16's resistance, but I guess if that's what you call
I
resistance.
mean, they had to put. I don't know. That's how it
Well, I feel
think.
like if you got a big, tall center, you're going to put O'Neal on him anyway.
I mean, maybe, but does it?
But
Is 2 inches really that big of a deal? You know what I'm saying? Like,
what do you mean? Smith is like 7'4", right?
no, I was talking about
Oh,
Olajuwon, or not Olajuwon, O'Neal and Daniels. Yeah, Smith's is 7'4", but here's my problem with 7'4". How are you 7'4" and you barely block over 1 shot a game?
well, he had a lot of foot problems though too, so he didn't have a
Yeah.
lot of height or get up and jump that kind of height. But I mean, he could body people. Like he could guard.
I'm not saying he's trash. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Oh, no, I liked him as a player. I mean, we're talking about somebody that has 3 titles, 2 MVPs. Rick just didn't have the accolades or the points to go with it.
What about Roy Hibbert? Let's talk about Roy Hibbert for a minute.
Yeah, let's do.
What's his stats? 'Cause he was a blocker too.
Well, I will say this. Roy Hibbert's career would probably have been longer if he played before he did.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
probably would have had a 12, 15-year career, obviously barring health, if he wouldn't have played in a era that ran him out of the league.
That's true.
11 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
So somewhat similar. He was just super slower. I watched him run down the court sometimes and just be like, fuck, or was the game going to be over before you get to the other end?
Shot clock's got run out for you.
I know. He was just so slow.
Yeah, he was.
Well, I mean, this is tough for me. Gonna bring a tear to my eye.
So I just looked up the Dream and Rick Smits matchups.
Mm-hmm.
The Dream averaged 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks on 52% shooting against Rick Smits, while Smits averaged 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist against Olajuwon.
It was Elijah one.
He was just one of the guys you brought up, so that's why I
Right.
looked him up.
It's one of those guys you can only hope to contain.
Indeed.
But I mean, you can't just contain a guy in this kind of what we're trying to do.
Well, I mean, how do you think Daniels would fare against Elijah Wan and Shaq?
I think he did just about the same as Smith does. But he's also getting me another 10 boards a game instead of 6 at center.
But is he though against Shaq and Elijah Wan? And
I would think Smith is going to get even less than 6.
I feel like we're.
Well, we've had this discussion before. Are we building a team, or are we picking the best players in Pacers history at those spots? I think sometimes we get lost in our tournament at the end.
No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, yeah, Daniel's got the accolades and the stats, but I mean, who did he go against as a center in the ABA that got him that far? Like, who was the top centers in the ABA?
Artis Gilmore probably would have been the best center in the league.
Artis
Yeah, that was a
Gilmore.
good. Yeah, I mean, that's one.
I mean, he's starting for another one of our teams.
Right.
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Alonzo Mourning gave Rick Smits 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 60% shooting. 60%.
How much shorter is Alonzo Mourning? than Rick
He's
Smith?
6'10",
He's
so 6
inches
inches.
shorter.
And Alonzo starts for another one of our teams.
Well, Wade didn't have. Who's Wade's center?
O'Neal.
Do we want to send Wade a text and see what he says about the center thing? Tell him we moved O'Neal to power forward and
Yeah, go ahead, Drew. Text Wade, see what he says.
it said we're debating Mel Daniels and Rick Smits at center. Get some input from him. In the meantime, we can discuss point guards again.
Oh, I forgot we still have point guards to go.
So what do you think, Alex? Still sticking with Hallie?
It's 3-1 on point guards too, because one of Wade's votes on Halliburton. So
Yeah, I mean, I like Paul George. I just don't see him as a point guard. Halliburton's a double-digit assist guy. That's why I had him. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask here.
Yeah.
This has really turned into a rough week, huh?
It has, actually. We're
I
not,
know.
yeah. So, by the way, Dan Issel played in the ABA too. He's a center. Like I said, I'm not against Paul George making the team. Oh, and Moses Malone. We forgot about Moses Malone. We didn't name him. He played in the NBA. But I mean, I'm not trying to start no shit here. I'm really not. But I mean, like, if I was gonna put Paul George in any of the positions over any of these guys, it'd be at the 2.
Oh no! Oh no, Alex.
Ray is like speechless. He's just shaking his head.
God, you sound like that Brooks guy in Memphis trying to poke the bear. Don't poke the bear.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Brooks did poke the bear, but what he said was true, and what I said was true.
I don't know if the comparison to Paul George getting at the 2 spot and trying to put Halliburton on a list after 2 years of being in town. I don't think that's a.
It wouldn't be the first.
argument.
It wouldn't be the first time we did it.
Yeah. Well, what was it?
Eddie Jones only played 1 season in Charlotte. He's on our team.
Yeah, Charlotte don't really have a
so
whole
bad, Alex.
Hey, look at the point guard position in Pacerland. It's just as bad as Charlotte.
Dude, I'm surprised how weak some of these point guard positions are. Like it's.
Mm-hmm.
So, Uncle Doug, why did you go to George and not Halliburton when you came off George Hill?
Because of the 2 years.
I mean, if we wouldn't go with accolades, I mean, what's Paul George's? Like a couple All-Star appearances, one more than Halliburton. Most improved player, more than Halliburton.
The other thing with Halliburton is it's not just 2 years with Indy. He hadn't been in the league that long.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, he doesn't really have any in the way of accolades because he just hadn't been around long enough.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't. He's only been in the league, 4 years.
What did he look like in the first couple of years in Sacramento?
13-5, 15-8.
Which I know, obviously, he'd be playing with De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox, yeah. He's been solid since he came in the league. Like I said, I'm not really knocking Paul George. I'm just wondering if Paul George can play point guard.
I think he could.
Yeah.
I think he could get it done.
I mean, that's what he does in Clipperland, isn't it?
I don't know. Then why do they keep bringing in point guards if he can play point guard well?
I have no idea because it makes no sense. They keep getting rid of him too.
He disappeared too. I think.
Where's Reggie Jackson? Gone.
And Russell Westbrook and
Gone.
John Wall.
Gone.
Yeah, they just keep dragging him in.
I think he'd be all right playing point guard.
Just never know.
Ugh.
Here, I'll make y'all a deal.
Yeah, so you
Speak
guys
of
should
that.
make a deal. I have the perfect deal in mind.
If you put Daniels at power forward, I will.
Daniel's a power forward.
What? No, listen, look. Put Daniels at power forward, put O'Neal at center, and I'll get rid of my Smiths pick, and then the lineup will be okay.
We can just change matchups. Just because they start the 5 doesn't mean we can't have matchups different. That's literally what we're saying. If you get rid of Smith. Just because he's at center doesn't mean he has to guard the other team. Most of the time, there's going to be a center either way on some of these teams.
Yeah, but I really don't want to put O'Neal at center because he's really lengthy, and he don't really have the weight to him, and he's just going to get kind of bodied a little bit. He kind of lasted because who
Who you talking about, Daniels or O'Neal?
O'Neal. Who was the big centers that he played against when he was in Indiana?
I don't know. George Foster took care of that for him. Greg Foster, whatever his name was.
George Foster?
Greg,
Yeah.
Grant, whatever.
It's Australian phobia. Yeah, but, I mean, we don't have a Greg Foster here. We have a Rick Smits.
Did Wade say anything?
No, Wade has not texted back yet.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and concede here.
It'd be funny if he answers back and says Smiths.
Too late.
That
Raise
would be
agreed.
crazy.
Yeah, that's too late. All right. So what are you gonna do with point guard? What do you want to do, Alex?
Oh, I guess since we're just gonna sit here until I do it, I'll go to Paul George.
Good deal there. Yeah.
That was my deal. I was thinking Alex goes to one, Ray goes to the other.
Well, it's not exactly the team that I thought when we came up here, but
No.
there's some pretty good players here.
Yeah.
There is.
Oh, you could be a
Ray tried to make Ray tried to make us get rid of all the Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
But I mean, all right.
all of them but Reggie.
Yeah.
And you think Paul George would be a Hall of Famer when he retires?
Paul George.
Yeah.
I would assume.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame. What's he done to make you Hall of Fame worthy? He's not great at something, which sometimes gets you in. Like if you're an all-time great at something, he hasn't won anything. He doesn't have a bunch of awards. Like his he's hurt all the time, so his stats aren't getting built up. I don't know what he does to get in the Hall.
Is Robert Ory in the Hall?
No, I don't think he is he? But he also has 7 championships if he did.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
think Big Shot Bob's in the
I don't think
Hall.
he
I
is.
doubt it. I'll look.
I mean, you know, like I say, he's got a lot of rings, but I don't think he's got a Hall of Fame jacket.
No, he don't.
Big Shot Bob is not in the Hall of Fame. He has 7 NBA championships and an all-rookie team, and that's it.
Good.
He
Okay.
averaged 7-4-1.
So how many Hall of Famers does Indiana have?
I don't know.
Let's see. McGinnis,
Is McGinnis and Daniels
Daniels,
and Reggie?
Roger Brown in.
I don't know. I'm gonna Google it. Hold on a second.
Because I bet half that ABA team's in the Hall of Fame.
Indiana Pacers Hall of Famers. Reggie Miller, if you count Chris Mullins, Alex English, they're both in the Hall and played there.
Okay.
But then Mel Daniels, Roger Brown, George McGinnis.
Okay.
Okay, so Roger Brown's
Yep.
the other one.
And Roger Brown is also a 3-time ABA champion, Hall of Famer, ABA all-time team, 17 points, 6 rebounds.
So let me ask you this, Ray. Why were you trying to leave off all of those guys?
Because I just felt like the two that I had at center and power forward just would play better with my backcourt.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I guess we've settled it. So for those of you listening, that makes our all-time Pacer starting 5: Paul George, Reggie Miller, George McGinnis, Jermaine O'Neal, and Mel Daniels. So three Hall of Famers and a couple of All-Stars, and not the worst team we put together by far. I don't think they would. I think they would smoke Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're not too big of a threat to challenge for the championship or something. But we'll see. And that will end our Pacers portion of this episode. Almost an hour in, jeez. And we'll just talk about some NBA playoffs, guys. Today is April 26th, and the playoffs are in full swing. And the playoffs have been crazy. We were kind of talking about it off air.
Well, before we go too far, the Cavs have officially been eliminated. The Knicks won.
Yeah, well, that sucks. So the Cavs are eliminated. The Nets are eliminated by the 76ers. The Timberwolves are eliminated by the Nuggets.
Yeah.
That's all the eliminations so far, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the Grizzlies are going to hang on, at least in Game 5.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. They were only up by 4, and then all of a sudden it's 24.
No, you're going to say anything.
Well,
I'll go off on a tangent. That probably wouldn't
I'm
be
gonna
good.
say I'm not surprised.
It wouldn't be good.
I don't.
Money? Oh.
Yep, Dylan Brooks.
He is a bricklayer.
Let him shoot.
Just my personal opinion. I think Milwaukee will win tonight.
Well, can only
It's
hope.
back in Milwaukee, isn't it?
It's
game 5, right?
It's
Yeah.
game
Yeah,
5, so it
it's
should
in
be in
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Yeah. I think Milwaukee will win tonight. Butler usually struggles after he has one of those huge games.
Yeah.
The next game, he usually doesn't play as well.
The game the Bucks are going to have to watch out for is 6 back in Miami.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I feel like the Bucks can get to Game 7, they'll be all right.
Oh God,
Why did,
Anthony
he
Davis.
just, why did he fall down?
Don't be saying it's just him. John Morant falls down every time he drives to the basket, so does Bane.
No, everybody in the NBA falls down. But I'm saying every time Anthony Davis falls down, we think his career's over. Just stop fucking falling down.
Well, here, we'll see it.
Even Bane was like, whoa. Like, what the hell is your foot going on my face for?
I think they talked about this the other day. They said the way he falls. They said the trainer that he's got said the way he falls. If he falls on the back, it tells him that helps better lengthen his lifespan on the knees and legs and stuff.
No, that was Embiid.
Oh, was it Embiid?
Yeah, that was Embiid.
okay.
The way he fall.
What
Yeah,
did they just call? Did they call a T?
Yes. They did this the other night when someone fell down. But we don't call it when jaw lays on the ground.
No, this is the shit. Like the NBA, the officiating in the NBA playoffs has been out of control, and I'm not talking about like necessarily like game to game, like calling fouls, like that happens all the time, but the flagrants and the technicals and the suspensions are just
And
asinine.
There's no consistency.
No consistency, no
Someone
rhyme or
won one
reason.
game and it doesn't matter, but in another game,
You
they
do
do
the
something exact same thing. It doesn't. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
I can't stand Dylan Brooks or James Harden, and both of their ejections were ridiculous. And I like Joel Embiid, and Embiid should have not only been ejected, he probably should have been suspended.
Yeah,
Well,
all of them. He's the one
I
that should
think the
have been.
stadium ones he missed.
Yeah, he missed. That was
Right.
that was one
That's
of the things
what
that saved him.
him.
But his was the most vicious of all of them. And
Yeah.
then Draymond, another guy I can't stand.
How is that not a?
They got
You
it.
got to
They
call a
fine.
foul.
Um,
And you talk about whine. The Grizzlies are such whiners.
We're probably gonna go off some tangents, being dad about how
Hey,
the Grizzlies suck. Or
I know the Grizzlies are frustrating, but your favorite team has LeBron James on it. We can't talk about whining.
Oh, I know. He complains a lot, but if anybody complains more, it's the Grizzlies.
But I mean, every time Jaw drives to the basket, they're all throwing their hands up, yelling and crying. I mean, good God.
And then Draymond Green, his was, I don't know if he should have been suspended or not, to be honest with you. He definitely should have been ejected. But then when they came out and said it was because of his reputation, I was also okay with that, to be honest with you. I was like,
Yeah.
he's established he's a dirty player that does dirty
Right.
things. My thing is, the league's given him special treatment for years.
Yeah. And then if they're going to go with the reputation thing, then Brooks should have been suspended. Because
Yeah.
he's definitely got
Yeah,
a reputation.
Yeah, he's got a reputation too.
You know, he led the league in tees.
Um,
And I thought the refs handled it well.
Yeah, I
with
thought
the Draymond.
I think they did that perfect during the game.
You know, the guy got a flagrant one for grabbing his leg, and Draymond got the 2 for stomping on him. And he should have got a 2
and
for stomping on him.
he did stomp on him. Anybody that says he didn't is lying to themselves.
Right.
You're either a Warriors fan or delusional, because
Yeah.
he did stomp on him.
He did.
And he jumped off of him.
Right.
His other leg was in the air. He jumped
Yeah.
off the leg that was on his chest.
Right.
Yeah,
And so
that excuse he gave at the press conference is the lamest shit I ever heard in my life.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, and my only thing is, if you're going to suspend him a game, then suspend Brooks. If you're not going to suspend Brooks, then don't
If you
suspend
do it for that
Draymond.
reason,
Do it for one. I mean,
No,
make it
I don't think it had any.
consistent.
I don't think he was suspended for the stomp, and I don't think he was suspended because of his reputation. I think he was suspended because of the way he acted to the fans when the commissioner was sitting there.
Yeah, that
Because he stood up on the bench and was screaming "pussy" over and over and over again, and like being like challenging the fans. He was challenging one of the fans behind the bench to a fight, and then like all this shit. And I'm like, the commissioner is literally standing up, staring at him the
Right.
whole time. I'm like, yeah, Adam Silver is not thrilled right now.
it's
But
different
to
if
be
the-
perfectly honest, Adam Silver is soft.
Yes, Yes.
He would be fine if they never suspended anybody.
Yeah. No. Adam or not Adam Silver. Stern would have completely lost his shit over something like
He
that.
would have gone down there and taken care of it right away.
Yeah. Get him off my court.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's what needs to. I mean, if you don't want that to happen, then stop it.
But here's my thing, though, is like these NBA players, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
You can't sit here and be like, I want people thrown out because they're not being nice to me. I want blah, blah, blah. And now we've got guys essentially challenging fans to fights. Like Russell Westbrook did it.
Right.
Now we've got Draymond Green doing it. And I'm not saying that fans should fight them. That's not what I'm saying. But what if a fan decides to?
Right. What if a fan comes out of the stands?
You know the fan.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen eventually.
Some guy's going to say, okay.
Yeah.
Or someone's going to be drunk enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be somebody like Jokic's brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or some black belt or something.
Yeah.
Or some boxer.
Yeah.
Some big boxer is going to come out.
Right. It's not going to be some guy that looks like me or you that's going to come fight an NBA player, because that'd be suicide. But yes, it's going to be somebody that's like, I can handle myself. I'm not scared of this fool.
And
I'm bigger. I'm big enough. I'm almost as big as this guy. I can handle this fool.
And probably has a little more money than we do.
Yeah.
I could like barrel them out of jail. Like,
yeah.
Like no random fans are going to, because they're going to jail.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
The NBA guy.
If you're a Hall of Fame NFL player, you just have to calm down before you return to your seat.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, Shannon. Yeah.
That's right.
And make up with them at halftime.
Yeah. But that's been my biggest frustration of the playoffs, other than the fact of, this isn't new, though. This happens almost every year. Injuries, again, have bitten the playoffs, and which always sucks. You know, you always want to see the
teams at their best in the playoffs.
Yes.
You hate to see series. Well, the Clippers-Suns series is decided by injuries.
Yes.
Because the Clippers
have no shot.
We're going to win.
Yeah, it looks like
Paul George played, they definitely, I think, we're going to win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the
And
Clippers
with
were completely
George and Kawhi
healthy.
both out, it's over.
Right. And then Giannis being out for the Bucks for 2 games.
Yeah.
And now that series look like it might slip away from them. Ja missed a game in this series. With also Adams.
Grizzlies won, but
Yeah.
the big one is their centers.
Yeah,
Right,
Adams and
I like
and
Adams. Adams is a good
I do
center.
too.
I like him a
Adams
lot.
and Clark, their first and second string center, are both out. And I thought Adams was supposed to come back at some point, but
I think they just kept backing it up.
Yeah,
And
like Clark is done for the year. He tore his Achilles, so like there is no coming back for him. But I thought Steven Adams was supposed to come back.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe next series.
I mean, and tonight apparently Julius Randle left the Knicks-Cavs game with an injury.
Yeah.
We haven't really.
Which they'll have to play the Heat or the Bucks. So the second round won't start till everybody's in the second round, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they'll still have a little time because some of these series are. So he'll have a little time to get the ankle ready to go.
That's all. Is there any more injuries I'm missing here?
Well, Embiid, remember he got hurt at the end of that.
Yeah. Oh, and Tyler Hero broke his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Victor Oladipo.
Oh, Victor. Yeah, that was really
Oladipo's
bad.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
Victor
bad.
tore up his knee again. Like I feel bad for him, man. There was a guy that had a couple good seasons in Indy.
I know. I referenced him earlier.
No, did you? I must
Yeah, I
have missed
said that one All-Star we used to have and got injured, and then
Yeah,
Now he's on the
I
Heat.
heard you say that about his.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Wade picked Daniels.
Oh, okay.
all right, well, it's official.
So yeah, I mean, injuries, referees, that stuff always sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't remember. There wasn't any injuries in the Denver T-Wolves series. I don't remember any injuries in the Boston Atlanta series. Oh, but didn't you guys say that Murray's suspended now though?
Yeah, he got suspended the other night because that's in the game. He didn't play last night. I know
so
he
they
got.
won without him. I missed that game last night.
Pretty
so
sure he got suspended.
Which Murray are we talking about?
DeJounte Murray, one for the Hawks.
Oh.
Right, the one for the Hawks.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm not the guy.
contact with an official. I have not seen the play. I just read that he was suspended for contact with an official.
Yeah,
It was at the end of one of the games.
it was at the end of Game 4. He got mad and was saying him and the official had history, and then he got suspended for Game 5, and he didn't play last night.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You sure it's just Game 5?
See, that's why I don't know. I thought maybe it's more.
Contact with the official oftentimes is more.
Let me go with the box score from last night.
Yeah, it's but it probably depends. You know, the playoffs. They don't want to suspend anybody
that's
because I bet during regular season, Draymond's suspension would have been longer than a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go.
So how did they beat the Celtics without him last night? He's their best player.
I know.
Yeah. Dejounte Murray did not play, suspended by league.
Yeah, it does say that on here. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, Young had 38, but Bogdanovich had 18. Collins had 22. Bay had 12. Hunter had 13. I don't know.
More lucky magic from.
I mean, Jason Tatum only had 19. I think he was 1 from 10 from 3.
DeJounte Murray suspended 1 game for contact with official.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Again, it's the playoffs. They're suspending now, but not.
Yeah, I missed it. I didn't see what happened, and I think I watched that game.
Well, then the whole Anthony Edwards thing last night, like I said, he got third-degree assault because he threw a chair and hit 2 employees of the arena. So,
What are we doing?
I understand going to the locker room and throwing stuff, but make sure you get in a safe place before you start chucking things. I mean, I know you're mad after losses and stuff. I mean, I know, I understand. You play sports and you lose a big game. I understand, but make sure no one else is in the way before you start throwing an absolute fit.
I think everybody in the NBA apparently needs some classes on workplace conduct.
Yeah.
So they have no idea what that is.
All right, so does anybody have any comments or opinions about what's happened in the NBA that we haven't covered, like especially about specific teams or players or anything like that?
What do you mean, like?
Well, I guess for me, I was super, super disappointed in the big men for Cleveland.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Evan Mobley was turned into a useless shiv in this series, and I really like him.
They let Mitchell Robinson look like freaking an all-star.
Yeah, they turned Mitchell Robinson into prime Dikembe Mutombo, and Julius Randle had his way in a couple of the games.
Well, then the one game Julius Randle threw a fit, and they still won.
Yeah, but they just got manhandled down low.
And I think Josh Hart really stepped up.
Josh Hart was averaging double-digit rebounds in the series.
Yeah.
When Cleveland's playing 2 bigs,
no,
that can't happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, even Donovan Mitchell, he scored 2 points in that one game in the second half. Normally he's the one that shows up in the playoffs. He did not.
Well, I mean, he's had a really good series though. He wasn't a no-show for the entire series the big guys. I mean, he had 28 tonight. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Another comment I guess I could say is the Suns got a lot of work ahead of them.
I know the Suns won 4-1, but they got to play the Nuggets, and I mean they had 2 back-to-back close games when the Clippers didn't have their 2 best players.
yes, you're very much correct. And the Suns have absolutely, positively no bench. They're playing Durant, Paul, and Booker 45 minutes a night. They're trying to steal 2 and 3 minutes a night to get them on the bench. Durant and Paul can't hold that up.
Yeah, well, they gave up everybody.
Well, Kevin Durant then I said, well, I haven't played all year because of injuries. I'll be all right. I'm like, no, you won't. I said, if these games, I told Dad, I said, in the playoffs, you cannot play 45 to 48 minutes a night and expect to go deep into the playoffs.
No.
Here's my thing. Certain guys can do it. We used to watch guys do it. Mike used to do it. Larry Magic used to do it. Guys those guys played 40 minutes a night during the regular season. They were already doing it.
And didn't skip 20 games.
Right, exactly. These guys are not doing it. Here's the thing. LeBron used to do it back in his prime.
Yeah.
Not now, but LeBron used to do it. He was, in the playoffs, I mean, and things like that. Durant and Paul are already injury prone.
And they're older.
Right. I wouldn't be if the Warriors started doing that to Curry, I'd be like, Curry can't do it either.
No, I'll agree with you. Yeah. I mean, they say it all the time. They have certain times. Well, the Kings do the same thing with De'Aaron Fox, and he's younger. He comes out at certain times throughout the game, and they know when the other team's going out. I think they said the other night De'Aaron Fox goes out at the 5-minute mark, 5.5-minute mark every night. that's when he comes out and takes his rest for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just can't if you're going to do these big series over and over and over. I mean, it's just, especially the way some of these guys play, all the pounding they do on their legs.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too. Durant, Booker, and Paul. Okay, that means you're probably asking at least 2 of those guys to pick up major offensive players on the other end too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Ayton is obviously going to pick up the best big, which is fine.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to put Torrey Craig, the 5th starter, on the best scoring wing.
Yeah.
But either Booker or Paul has to guard the other team's point guard. That's it. That's the only 2 options.
Right.
And then Durant is guarding the other wing, outside of Torrey Craig. Or the other big. Probably the other big if there's a big. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least 2 of those guys are going to have a decent assignment every night. And you're playing 45 minutes a night and playing both ends. Like, that's a lot to ask of old guys.
Right.
Like, what is Paul, 37? And Durant's like 34, 35?
Yeah.
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 Like, Booker's younger.
Right. He's younger,
he's like
but-
28, 29. That's
But
different.
the other 2 have got
Yeah.
some miles.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen year in and year out Chris Paul get hurt in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we've seen, not his whole career, but for the last 4 or 5 years, Durant's seasons a lot of times end with him on the injured list. Durant has not been healthy since his Achilles.
Yeah.
He averages about 40 games a season
Yeah.
since then. Here's the other thing I wanted to touch on. Ray and I touched on this before you guys got here tonight off air. When you're Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and you play 45 games a year but then at the same time every year get hurt in the playoffs as well, how can you tell your team I need to load manage? Because they're going to load manage you and then I'm still not going to play in the playoffs because I'm hurt then too.
Right. Yeah. The whole load management thing is so you're fresh for the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're not even playing the playoffs.
No, yeah. So,
Well, yeah. Stephen A. came out and said it might be time for Kawhi to retire.
He also said he is the worst superstar ever to be in the NBA.
Well, they I forget which show I was listening to today, and they were talking about, they interviewed somebody and talk about when you see Kawhi walking around like the arena and the facility and stuff, he's always limping, and they're saying hadn't really gotten completely healthy
Yeah.
from his earlier stuff, and just keeps makes you kind of wonder what's really going on underneath. Are they telling us everything? Is there more to that knee? Is it kind of like the
Degenerative or something?
Yeah, kind of like the Todd Gurley with the Rams.
Yeah.
He had the knee surgery. He came back for a couple years, but then it started degenerating.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something like that? And they're just not saying it at this point. Because, Kawhi is a phenomenal player.
He is. When he's on the floor, he's a stud.
Yeah,
yes.
he is.
Well, he was averaging 35. I don't remember the other ones, but he was through the first 2 games. He was having nice
he was
games.
tearing it up.
He like single-handedly beat the Suns in the first game of the series.
Yeah.
Like he had like 38 points and like 8-9 rebounds and a handful of assists and D'd up Durant. Like he played really, really well. But this is the same argument we had with Wade on the 50 Greatest Players episode. He showed up for 2 games, was really, really good, and then he was done and let his team down.
Yeah.
Like, and so I don't know. It's
tough.
Yeah.
It really is.
So who do you how do you guys view the Suns Nuggets series?
I like the Nuggets.
Well, if the Nuggets play what they're up to, I think it'll probably be in 5.
You think the Nuggets beat the Suns in 5? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Suns are good enough to win a game, but they can't.
Well, I think
Especially if that-
I think the Suns especially with Booker and Durant, just have enough firepower to outscore you at least once.
Yeah.
At least once, if not twice a series, they're just going to go score 130 points, and you're not. Especially Denver, is not a defensive juggernaut.
Yeah.
If they were like going to Milwaukee, you know, a team that's like cuts their teeth on defense, you'd be like, we'll see how this goes. But Denver is trying to get up and down on you too. So the Suns could put up, and Nuggets both, I mean, in this series, could put up some hellacious numbers.
Right.
So it'd be a
Yeah.
really the Nuggets could
high-scoring
score between
series.
Jokic and Murray. And Murray's playing well right now.
Yes, and
He's-
Porter.
I mean, Aaron Gordon's giving them solid.
Aaron Gordon averaged like 17 points a game
Yeah.
this year.
I would say the Nuggets
and
can
Aaron
score-
Gordon is a very nice defender. He's a guy that could give KD minutes because he's 6'9". He's
Right.
athletic. Like he could. I'm not saying he's gonna shut down KD. That's not what I'm saying. But he's a guy that could actually guard KD a little
Right.
bit.
Can stay in front of him, make
Yeah.
it difficult, make him work.
Right. Porter doesn't play a ton of defense, but he's also a guy that physically can match up
Yeah.
with Durant.
I'm saying he's young enough. He's still athletic and stuff right now.
Yeah, and then Caldwell Pope will probably get the Booker assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying if they try and put Chris Paul on Murray, that's not going to end well.
No, Murray's going to run right past him.
I was
I
saying
mean,
Murray's finally got his legs back. I think underneath him. He's starting to look like he did in the bubble. To an
Yeah, I mean
extent.
he had like a 40-some point game in the last series.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's starting to look really good. I mean, Paul's going to get that assignment
Yeah.
because I think everybody else is too big.
Yeah.
Paul's going to end up with that assignment. And here's the thing. Paul is a good defender. But, again, you're just going to wear him down.
Right.
Yeah, and if he's
Yeah.
playing, by the time we get to game 4, game 5, he's already played 40-plus minutes every night. He's going to be feeling it.
Yeah, this is the best. This is the best. These series here, the Kings-Warriors series, and whatever. What's the other Western Conference series that's still going?
Lakers and the Grizzlies.
Lakers and Grizzlies. These series being drug out and making the second round start later, it would be good for Paul and Durant.
Yeah.
Because
it
they
will.
got their series over quick and they can rest.
The
for a
only
little
way I
while.
can see the Suns beating the Nuggets is if they can get up early in the series. If they could steal one in Denver early, I say Denver wins game 1, but if say the Suns could win 2 and 3, maybe possibly even 4, if they can, they gotta at least be close. They can't let Denver. I don't think they can let Denver win the first 2.
I think the matchup that may be key for this series though is can Ayton stay out of foul trouble?
Yeah.
Because if Ayton's in foul trouble, Jokic is going to destroy the entire series.
Yeah.
Because they have nobody coming off the bench to go to deal with Jokic. Ayton is a very nice center. I know he's gotten a reputation for being kind of a whiner and stuff, but he is a very nice player. And and he can keep Jokic honest because he can score on the other end of the floor. So
But I think you're right. I think that his foul trouble is going to be a big key.
Yeah.
mhm. Yep, I agree. Do we know any other series for second round?
The Eastern Conference hasn't been either. The 2 that have finished are just waiting on the other one.
Oh yeah, Philly's waiting for the Boston series,
Yeah.
and the
The Heat and Bucks is who
Heat and Bucks are supposed to play who?
the
though?
Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks. Yeah. Okay, so let's just talk about that for just a second. Let's assume Boston comes out of that series like they're supposed to. What do you think about the Philly-Boston matchup?
Is Embiid coming back?
Yeah, let's say Embiid's healthy because Doc said he expects Embiid to play Game 1. Just yesterday, I think he said that.
I don't know. I kind of feel like Philly might.
I
get
think
'em.
Philly could. The way Celtics are kind of losing it here against the Hawks is not making me feel too confident in them.
The thing is, I mean, I'm not saying it's everything, but Boston just massacred Philly every time they matched up this season. And the one time Philly won, Boston was 3-1, and the one time they won, Robert Williams didn't play. Embiid went for 50, and they won by 2 points.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like, it's almost like one of those things. Is this just a bad matchup for Philly? And James Harden still plays for this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, James Harden lays down in the playoffs. That's what he does.
We know he does. We know he lays eggs.
So,
Well,
I don't know. And then the Knicks are going to play. Yeah, at this point, it looks like Miami, unfortunately. I really like this Bucks team, but with Giannis being hurt, it was like, well.
we'll say the Heat go ahead and win. Do we think the Heat could get the Knicks?
No.
The series against the Knicks are on the
No,
Eastern Conference
not
Final.
without Hero. They don't have
No.
enough firepower.
No. I think the Knicks will get
That'd
him.
be crazy. I would not have thought the Knicks would have.
Yeah, that puts the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals.
They turned it up. That's all they did.
I was about to say
They turned it up.
they're playing good basketball. I mean,
And then, yeah, I mean, I would think whoever comes out of the other series, Philly or Boston, just probably spanks them.
Yeah, possibly.
So the
I mean-
Heat's up 3 at the end of the first quarter.
oh jeez, the Heat win them 5. It's kind of embarrassing for the number 1 seed in the whole playoffs. Like, we're not just talking about just in that conference, but the Bucks have the best record in the league, didn't they?
Yeah. Again, that's why Giannis should be the MVP. I'll be honest with you, that the only reason Giannis isn't the MVP is because of voter fatigue and everybody trying to jump on Embiid's jock. That's all this is. Embiid's clearly the best player in the, or not Embiid. Giannis is clearly the best player in the NBA, and he played almost the entire season without his second best player and had the best record in the NBA. What are we even talking about here?
Well, the reason why Embiid's going to win is because the others have already won 2. And we're not trying to give someone the MVP 100 times. Like, they're trying to spread it out.
Exactly. It's fatigue. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not because Embiid isn't the MVP. It's because they just don't want to give it to him anymore. Or not Embiid. I mean Giannis.
They don't want to give it to the same guy over and over again. They
Right,
want to spread it out. Whoever the big story is that year, they want to give it to.
Yep.
They'd rather do that than have some guy have 4 or 5.
Because they got to protect our boy LeBron from. Well, they can't have these guys catch LeBron in MVPs. Because we've already got guys caught him in titles that played against him. Because Curry caught him in titles.
Yeah, that really hit everyone home last year when he got 4.
Yeah.
It's shot. No one was thinking about it until it happened.
Right. So now they're like, well, we can't have somebody catch him in MVPs because then you start to question, well, if guys have the same amount of titles and the same amount of MVPs, is he really the best player of this era?
Exactly.
And then that question comes in. Then you can't talk about Mike no more.
Yeah.
Because we know Mike was the best player of his era.
That's right.
The only title they ever won was when he was gone.
Yeah.
We talked last week, Alex, but I wish we could have seen Michael play Olajuwon. At least one of those years.
Oh, yeah. I was like, we did see Mike play Olajuwon, but you meant
like in the 7-game
finals.
series. Yeah.
In the final, yeah.
My prediction was Michael wins the first one, and when Olajuwon gets Drexler, they beat Michael the second time.
It could be.
Michael gets one more.
So Michael's
Olajuwon
7-1.
gets one less,
So
but Michael loses one.
I mean, we kind of talked about that first run for Olajuwon when he won his first one. It was a superhuman thing for Olajuwon to do, but he was by himself.
Yeah.
I think Mike and Scotty together could have overcome that. I think you're right, Drew. But once he added Drexler the next year,
Right.
Then guys like Kenny the Jet and Sam Cassell and Robert Horry are in more of a role player type situation instead of one of them trying to figure out if they can be the second best player on a championship team.
You basically took 2 teams that Michael beat when they just had one good player, and you took them and put them together. Because he beat Clyde by himself and he beat Olajuwon by himself, put them together.
Yeah.
And we know Chicago's weakness was center.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, Olajuwon would have had a huge series no matter which year. He would have had a huge
but I
series.
think Michael, we obviously
Yeah.
all know Michael would have got his.
Yeah. So,
It would have been a fun series to watch.
but I'm just saying also this is Mike tried to match up with Olajuwon the second time, and Orlando said, hey, slow your roll, bro.
I'm not saying Olajuwon never got back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that wasn't. I'm not blaming Michael for being gone those 2 years. Olajuwon never got back the last 3. So
Yeah.
So I think the other question is like, if they would have kept that Bulls team together one more year, what would that have looked like? Because they were clearly on their way down.
who made it from the Western Conference the next year? Was it Spurs with Duncan Robinson and
Duncan and Robinson.
Yeah.
Not Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, that would have been
I think the Bulls would have had to retool to at least some extent.
They would have needed to sign
Yes.
someone.
Yes.
They'd need to get someone. Again, it'd be interesting.
So, have you ever thought about this, though? What of, instead of retiring because he's pissed off, what if Mike is like, well, then trade me?
Right.
Because, you know, Scotty and Dennis are leaving, so trade me.
Where do you want it?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, what if Mike wouldn't have retired for a handful of years and then come back to the Wizards? What if he would just come back to it? What if he'd have gone to another team still as Mike?
How would we have viewed him if he would have went somewhere else and won?
That would have been weird too. I mean, you had 7 titles instead of 6, but at the same time, one of them's not in Chicago. So then, like, how do we
But
view
he's
that?
7-0 all
It's almost
time.
like it's almost like Brady getting his one with the Bucks.
True,
Right.
yeah. It's just weird.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
All right. Well, I think we've meandered enough. We're at an
Yeah.
hour and a half, guys. We got to get off of here. All right. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for this Indiana Pacers starting 5 episode, and we would appreciate you tuning in next week for the Clippers.
Is it? Yeah.
Is it already to L.A.?
Yeah, the Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers will be first for us.
Yeah. So the Clippers episode, not the best team in LA, but you know.
JV at 7:30. Varsity at 9 o'clock. Clippers play first. I was funny when I saw that.
Oh, that's funny. That being said, we would appreciate you tuning in for our Clippers episode next week, and make sure you send us some emails, some comments, some questions, whatever you want. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.